I think it helps when we're born. You know, the whole process that we've got now in the world of, you know, birth, of taking this child in this bright room, and then, you know, in so often they're now encouraging cesarean sections, and, you know, the child's taken off and sometimes put into, you know, one of those incubators or cots. They're taken away from the mother, from the heart, and, you know, in this sanitized experience. I know in other cultures, you know, children aren't even allowed to go on the floor. They're kept really in their mother's arms or in a relative's arms. The community is involved in that child.
So true. I mean, we are a sick culture, and the sickness begins from the word go. As soon as you get these medical, so-called health professionals that take over, we're buggered.
Yeah.
And for example, not supposed to mention Russia, but in Russian culture, I met years ago a midwife, and she was in the Taoist system, like I was at the time, and she'd had 10 kids, and she was helping other women to have babies, then be with them throughout their whole pregnancy to help them. She would help them to develop strong internal muscles, so they would be able to let go of the baby quickly at the time. Because, you know, use it or lose it, right? You think, you know, we all know that if you don't use your arm muscles, your arms become weak. Well, there are muscles internally that also need to be strengthened so that you can have a proper delivery. You need to be able to push without becoming so like, oh, push for 10 hours, I can't take any more, quick, cut me up. So she would take them through this process, and then she would take them to the Black Sea in groups of about 10 or 20 women, and they would go into the sea to give birth. And then they would give birth, and then they would have a potty. And the potty was for the placenta. You know, you didn't cut the cord, you put the placenta inside the potty, and you carried that baby and that potty for 3 days. Till it shriveled. So after 3 days, the placenta would shrivel up, and any stress hormones from the mother, everything would go into that placenta. That'd be the end of it. Healthy baby. You know, loving, joyous event, all these women giving birth together. It was, you know, and I've seen the videos, lovely. And I met one of her last babies, and he was at the time about 1.5-year-old, and the father used to do yoga on him. So he'd grab him by the arms and he used to twist him and twirl him one way, the other way, throw him in the air. My God, anyone else looking at that would put him away for, you know, cruelty to a child. But that child was the strongest, healthiest baby I've ever met. He had arms like Samson. He used to throw them into the swimming pool, big swimming pool, throw him in there, into the center of it. And he would swim underwater, and he would pull himself out of that swimming pool, 1.5 years old. Like I said, strongest baby I've ever seen. We're totally lost. We've lost connection with what it's like to be truly human. We've become so pampered, so divorced from what we should be, that, you know, we're sick physically, we're sick emotionally, we're sick psychologically. And this has developed and evolved as part of the critters influencing us over thousands of years. You know, I know they've been there before, but their influence has not. Let me double check on this one. The influence of the critters, was that very strong during the time of the Atlanteans? No. Has it been strong in previous times? No. So
Babylonian times, I feel.
Well, it is from about 13,000 years ago. Since the last cataclysm, we've descended really far. And so we've ended up with this system where the psychopaths have become the rulers with the wealth to control the rest of us. And in the process, they have maintained a grip on reality, or rather on our perception of reality. So even people who could be awake right now to who they are, who could really work on their separation and integration, and who could really let go of the negative emotions fairly easily, they can't, because they have imbibed of the Kool-Aid of this pseudo-reality based on fear, and they have been indoctrinated. Their belief systems have been so indoctrinated that they cannot think outside the box.
They're seduced by, consumed by.
They've been, yeah, absolutely.
Masters of it. They believe.
Well, I'll give you one example. I was watching an American program the other day, and they're an alternative news, and one of the people who spoke, it was a woman, she was talking, and she was talking about witchcraft. And she was bringing into it in a very derogative way. She was bringing tarot cards and crystal healing and all this, and she was lumping everything as like, this is witchcraft. And what became pretty obvious to me quite quickly was that she is a Christian. There's nothing wrong with being a Christian. But the problem with some Christians is that their belief system is so narrow that it stops them from truly connecting with themselves. Because the way that we are controlled as a group is by giving us belief systems which are fuel for the brain, for the mind. And the mind will then control the emotions. If it's not acceptable, it gets suppressed. So you've got this group, they're quite large in America, I think, from what I see. These Christians who have a very narrow viewpoint. So they pay lip service to God, they pay lip service to Jesus, they pay lip service to love. But they're very critical. Which means that they themselves, although they have all those beliefs about love, God, love, Jesus, it's all in their head.
They're not embodying it.
They're not, that's a nice word. Think about that word, embody, in your body.
Yeah.
Yeah? So it's disassociated, and so they're constantly judging other people. They're judging them, and they find them wanting by their rule book.
Zealotry again.
Zealotry. But it's not just Christians. This is, we have it in the woke culture, we have it in politics, we have it in medicine, we have it in history. Humanity finds a niche. So some people, the ones who cannot be seduced into God, they get seduced into atheism, which is the opposite end. And so both of them have an aspect of the truth, because the atheists are totally right. There is no soul in the body. The body is a machine. But they're throwing out the baby with the bathwater, because we do. We are part of a soul. But yes, we are machines, and unless you're integrated, there's nothing else there. Well, there is, but it's so far in the background. It's small p, almost non-existent. Anyway. You talk.
Gosh, what comes to mind now? Yeah, that's materialism, is it? Materialistic science. Whereas Plato even acknowledged the fact that how these atoms were interacting, there's something behind it. There is more. Consciousness does exist, and that's flowing within us. Is that, does consciousness exist?
Consciousness is a word that's been rubbing me the wrong way lately.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question on that. Do human beings have consciousness? No. Is there such a concept? Well, obviously we have a concept of consciousness, but is consciousness a real thing? It isn't. What's real is integration. You see, you are a machine. You cannot rise in consciousness.
Mm-hmm. You can just drop. You can purify the temple.
Well, it's important to purify the temple because that facilitates the integration with soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's important to have a healthy organism.
But we can also drop identity and ideas and programs as well, can't we? That's going to help us kind of like raise our consciousness into the level there's soul integration.
Yes.
Yes.
There's no such thing. Consciousness is a hijack of something deeper.
It's a distraction in itself. And there's another idea in the New Age movement at the moment is ascension to the fourth dimension, to the fifth dimension, to be the new human. And
I did a podcast on the fifth dimension. Yes, Dolores, what's it? There are other dimensions between the third dimension and the ninth dimension. There's other dimensions, but so far I've been unable to make any sense. I haven't asked the right question. I've been unable to get any sense out of Charlie as to what those dimensions are about.
Yeah.
From our perspective, and even the critters, we start at the ninth dimension. However, there is a first dimension, which is where I said this last time. I said the breath of God. Okay, so the breath of God comes into creation, and to develop your psychic muscles, not us, but the soul, for the soul to develop, it begins by exercising will into getting two tiny little molecules, not even a molecule, molecules too big, the very essence of whatever the physical matter in the universe is. That because it's at that level is pure vibration.
And it's a dance.
Well, yes, it's a dance of vibrational thing.
With these two elements coming together.
It's not even an element, it's before elements.
Yeah.
It's the real basis of life, right? That's what they're trying to discover. Essence. With all this collider.
Yeah, the CERN.
CERN, yeah. So at the very, very, where vibration begins to interact and begin to create frequency, oscillation, call it what you will, yeah.
An attraction.
Well, there's an attraction as part of that. So this is not hap chance, this is will. This is the will of God manifesting via a soul in the making, for lack of a better word.
To observe itself?
Just to...
Why?
Why is it doing it? I just told you, it's the breath of God. It's the breath of God. Don't ask me, I don't know anything. It's the breath of God that is exercising its will in this cosmos, in this...
Because?
Well, I don't know.
Well, ask Charlie.
All right. I don't think there's a why. Okay, so breath of God manifests in creation. At the first dimension, it interacts with vibrational matter, what will become matter. So it interacts vibrationally, and it begins to create a more complex vibrational structure. Okay, why? For love. It is one step of the ladder on the rung of creation to generate love in the third dimension. Is that right? It is. So there's no other reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I could say to you, it's for God to know itself,
Yeah.
because God is all. There is nothing but God. God cannot know itself, because God is all there is. So God creates separation within itself by the breath of God coming into this third dimension. The breath of God is not creating the third dimension per se. It creates soul dimensions, which themselves have generated the third dimension,
Mm-hmm.
so that they can interact. And it is in this third dimensional that we have conflict. There is no conflict. There is no conflict between Charlie or Eric and the critters. They each have their function.
Mm-hmm.
There is no conflict between certain souls, ninth dimensional souls, who have psychopathic bodies, for lack of a better word, because they themselves are fulfilling a function. They're fulfilling their function at their level. They're learning, they're growing, they're stuck. And for that I feel sorry for them. I empathize with their situation, and at the same time I realize that's where they are. So, initially I said about real anger. Anger is when you defined your environment, your boundary. So all these psychopaths out there, I have my boundary. As long as they don't impinge on my boundary, there's no problem. I acknowledge where they're at, and I experience compassion for them. But if they impinge on my boundary, then my anger will come up. It's a natural reaction.
Yeah.
So, but the difference is not to get lost. Just because my anger comes up doesn't necessarily mean that I react with violence. It might come to that, but that's not what I mean. What I mean is that I will push back. So normally, you see, all this, they're pushing all the time. We don't push back. But when it gets to that point, we have to push back. We push back because that is a natural flow of our organism. What's important, and this is where we get lost, because there's quite a bit of pushback at the moment. There has been, over the last 3 years, there's been quite a bit of pushback by all these souls who are starting to awaken a little bit. They think they're awake, they're not awake. They're starting to awaken a little bit to the reality of what's going on. And they're beginning to push back, but they're pushing back with fear.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot push back with fear. If you push back with fear, all you're doing is you're maintaining the status quo. They're still in control, they're still in charge, and we're still at their mercy. You cannot fight fear with fear. You can only, and it's not even fight, but you can only fight fear with love.
Yeah.
I recognize where you're at. It's what when I work with you, when we do some emotional work, and I say, without condoning your past behavior or attitudes, I nevertheless completely and utterly forgive you from the bottom of my heart. This is a clause whereby I do not accept your bad behavior. I do not accept that you will have any power over me because of your attitudes and because of the way you are. However, I see you. I see your weakness. I see that you're confused. I see that you're lost. I see that you're damaged. And my heart goes to you, and I forgive that in you, within you, that is not able to take control of your machine.
Mm.
So I forgive that in you. This is how we forgive others. And this is really important in the context of the world today, that yes, there's all these people who are totally at the mercy of the critters, and they are pushing. Well, when they push enough, we do need to respond, but not with fear. We respond with love because it is only via love that we can alter the present reality. Because right now, we are lost in a reality of fear.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that flows out of it, is destroying the world. It's damaging people left, right, and center. But this is part of the plan, believe it or not. And they're doing what they need to do, because they're helping those other 4 billion of us who are ready to move on to start to wake up to the manipulations and the fear which are within ourselves, to wake up to the fact that we are critical. We've imbibed all that criticalness. We're critical of ourselves. We don't like ourselves. We dislike ourselves. We're not kind to ourselves, and so we're not kind to others.
Mm-hmm.
But we can be. We can be. And it begins by stopping the criticalness within our heads. We need to love, not love, but laugh. We need to laugh at ourselves. We must not take ourselves seriously.
Laugh and you win.
Every time.
And it's that process of observation, bringing that awareness to it, that allows you to then transmute it. And if you can be the neutral observer in that moment to see it and to laugh at it, or to, oh, I see what's happening here. I see this polarity that I'm being pulled into, this high density drama, or this belief, or this fear. Just to observe it. That's the power that we have, isn't it? It's
very easy to think of all these people as evil.
Mm.
I know David Icke. I like David Icke. I'm very fond of David Icke from everything I've seen of him over the years. But he doesn't get everything right.
No.
He's people are not evil. People are confused, misguided, lost.
And not in their heart.
And totally out of their hearts. They're not integrated. They're so out of integration within themselves that they're totally at the mercy. Now, it's important we do not have these people to rule over us. It's really important. But you cannot force that issue, because they're simply replicating what's inside you already.
Mm-hmm.
You see, not you, to some extent, I'll say we we are at the mercy of this critical overlord,
yeah,
that tells us how to be, how to behave, what is allowed, what's not allowed. And we're replicating that outside ourselves. This is why we have kings and queens and dictators and all these people in power. They are reflecting our internal reality, our collective internal reality. They're not evil, they're simply the pawns of the collective. You want a different outcome? Change yourself. We cannot. We've tried this so many times. We've tried this with communism. We've tried them with the National Socialism. There are these people who come into power with all the best will in the world. They're going to change the world for the group, for the better.
For the better, always the better.
And always, what comes out of it? The worst. It's come out of it time and again and again. It's always the same, because the truth is that without self-change, the world will keep reflecting the group dynamic, which is that we're fucked up. And we are.
Yeah.
We are. I mean, it's really sad. It's really sad. So we start with ourselves. So first of all, yes, critters are real. first thing is watch yourself. I've got an app on my phone. It tells me when the new moon's coming up. It tells me when the full moon's coming up. So when the new moon's coming up, I'm aware. Because it's not just me, it's the people around me. So people around me get triggered and they can trigger me. So I need to be on the alert for that. And full moon, so new moon is a few days before and a couple of days after. Sorry, that's new moon. Full moon is a week before. So from the week before to the actual full moon, that week, there are going to be days when you get triggered. Could be 1 day, could be 2 days, but there will be events, something's going to trigger you. It could come internally, it could come from the external, depending on your level of integration. It's more or less detached from yourself, but you get triggered. And just notice, accidents, pains, everything gets highlighted. Awareness is everything. Self-observation is everything. Detachment is everything.
But that's about taking responsibility as well, self-responsibility within that. Because we're too often just distracted by the drama and the narrative.
Absolutely. And we can't avoid that, you know. We get distracted because there isn't enough of a core center to keep us focused. We discussed this last time, that we need to grow within us a center, part of the ego, but our center that says, yes, I want to change myself. Now, it won't create change of itself, but it will make it easier for you to focus more and more and more, so you can begin to gain experience of self-observation.
Yeah.
And so the moments when you're integrated, the moments when you can see yourself because all the three brains are functioning, gets more and more regular.
Yeah.
Without the three brains integrated, even if it's only for a second, we don't stand a chance. The whole organism needs to be working together. And that means give up the drugs. All of them.
Does that include coffee?
It includes coffee, it includes tea, it includes pizza, it includes sugary stuff, it includes all poisons. They're poisons. Coffee's a poison. The plant creates the poison to protect itself from the various insects yeah? And you imbibe it because it gives you a nice kick, because you are robbing your kidneys, your adrenals, of adrenaline energy. And once you start down that road, you're now stuck, because you're robbing your adrenals of that energy, which should have been eked out throughout the whole day, and you've consumed it in 15 minutes. Woo, yeah, I'm good for a couple of hours now, great. Because afternoon comes, I'm really knackered now, I need another cup of coffee. So now you need to go and have something else. Or, you find some other stimulant that will keep you propped up. Because you have been abusing your system. You have been robbing Peter to pay Paul, which is the essence of all drugs. All addictive drugs work on this principle.
Yeah.
They rob you of something that you normally eke out in small amounts throughout the day, and it consumes it in a very quick, short period of time. And that creates problems. Yeah, not when you're high, but when you drop.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I've had to give up hummus. You're now telling me I've got to give up coffee.
I'm not telling you to do anything.
You're putting it out there, and I'm jumping to that and thinking, is this something I should consider? Oh no. Yeah.
It depends what you want. If you say, you know what, I am determined, I want to be really integrated, I want to be a vehicle for soul.
Yeah.
I want to be a manifestation of soul here, so that I can give back to the universe the love that is required of me.
Yeah.
Because that's why we're here.
And that's why I'm wanting to do these things.
There's a prize.
Yeah.
But it isn't really a prize. You see, you've been seduced because all of this, coffee doesn't grow here. There's no coffee. There's no coffee beans in this country.
So if I was in a country where it was growing, it would be okay.
They wouldn't eat it either because it's a poison.
They've made it because we want
We've
it.
created it.
Yeah.
So we've created it, and then those who want money and power have turned it into a revenue stream. And part of that revenue stream is to advertise it, to make it say, oh, nice cup of coffee in the morning, gold blend number 9 or whatever. You know, it becomes part of your mind, your indoctrination. You think it's great. I fancy a cup of coffee. It begins with an image in your head. It begins in there, but you don't see that. Or you're in touch with it. Fancy that. And so it begins. If you didn't have that in your head, it wouldn't occur to you till you had a headache, which you would then, because if you stop, you'd then have a headache.
Yeah.
Because it'd take a week before you're free of the coffee drug in your body, before your adrenals can begin to function normally to some extent. Until that happens, you're going to get a headache. So if you didn't have that in your head, you would simply go through life and, I got a headache. And, God. And then that would go away, and after a week, you'd forget all about it. Because it wouldn't be in your mind. It's your mind that's creating the whole scenario.
Mm-hmm.
The same with ciggies. Your addiction to ciggies, you have a few here and there, but you haven't dealt with the mental indoctrination of cigarette smoking. I know all about it, I've been there.
Well, they started doing it again. It used to be for a fashion, they weren't allowed to show it in films, and it's back in again. It's come back. They might have stopped the adverts.
No. It's been there for the last 15 years. I've been avidly watching this. They stopped it for a few years, and that quickly disappeared, and then no one talks about it. But I've watched films of the future. 500 years into the future, someone's smoking a cigarette. For God's sake, give me a break.
Yeah.
A cigarette 500 years from now, or a cigar. I've even seen them vaping.
Yeah.
Every time I watch a film.
But the latest one is the ayahuasca.
Yeah.
And that's what everyone wants to talk about. They want that experience, and that seems like a very grueling, intense journey. But then there's another way. There's the synthetic DMT, which is popular, in some cultures over here, I find. And so people want the quick way to it. People are trying to find the quick way, the instant gratification way to reach these higher levels externally again. The outsourcing, or then the other aspect is people living this pure life of no anger, of only pure love. Oh no! To have this spiritual ascension, I must only think positive thoughts, which is a gilded cage in itself. So it's more of the control system, isn't it?
Yeah. A true human being experiences all emotions. So anger is allowed, rage is allowed, fear is allowed. All the other negatives, right? They're all allowed.
Yeah.
There's a time for all emotions. What is not allowed is to keep regurgitating the emotions again and again and again, because you can't get off the merry-go-round.
Yeah.
Of course, it is. It's not that it's not allowed, but that's when we get stuck. So that, from the point of view of a healthy organism, what is unhealthy is the regurgitation of the emotion, which just keeps building up in intensity. That's when the critters have you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep prodding, and you just get worse and worse and worse. But all emotions, a healthy individual, a healthy organism is capable of experiencing the whole gamut of emotions. And in fairness, they should all be there, available at a moment's notice, if that's what's required. But, come through, flow out, gone. Not come through, get stuck. Yeah.
Yeah. And so let's look at this. So we've got, break some of this down. We've got aliens, we've got ghouls, we've got ghosts, we've got entities, higher species, lower species.
Okay, we don't have.
It's just
There's a lot
Fluff.
of that. A lot of that is fantasy world. According to Charlie, all we have is human beings and other life forms in the universe, different types of life forms, from small to big. Soul is in everything. We've got interstellar bodies, we've got planets, we've got satellites, we've got stars, we've got galaxies, multiverse. Soul is behind all of that and in all of that. And there is absolutely nothing else. There is, so from the human perspective, yes, there are aliens, but on this earth, there are only two types of aliens. There is one called the true humans, which have visited us before a few times, and who are right now, they're here, they're waiting for the next cataclysm. There's more in other podcasts. I speak about this. And there's many flavors of true humans out there now. And there is another race called, which I've taken the name from others, which I call the Fastwalkers, okay? I've never met them, I don't know them. But other people have talked about aliens. So there's this one alien race, and I'm calling them the Fastwalkers because they are a race of aliens who have been here since the 50s, 60s, something like that. And they come, I've written about this on my website, they come from 35 light years away towards the constellation of Hydra. And they're the ones who have been imparting technology. You may notice that technology has been growing really, really, really fast. And they're the ones who have been imparting technology with the end goal of acquiring human DNA. So they've been teaching a small group of people that's how to get to the point where they can now gain quick access to DNA and catalog it and whatever. And that's all they're interested in. And I call these guys the Fastwalkers. Now the Fastwalkers, they're totally nice, there's nothing wrong with them. The last time I spoke with Charlie, they had an average integration of around 35%. So that means they've got detachment and they have objectivity. About 1 million years ago, the true humans, or a faction of the true humans, spliced in them 1% of their true human DNA. And over that 1 million years, they have evolved into their present. They are free of, they don't have critters. So they have very nicely been developing and they've reached a certain level of integration. And about 500 years ago, they discovered space travel. They reached that level and they found us by accident, like I said, about 70, 80 years ago, however long it was. And they began to interact with us in a very, very small way. And they very, very quickly realized that we are damaged goods. They also know that a cataclysm is coming, but they have not shared that information with the Earth humans with whom they interact, which are of the psychopathic. So their experience of humanity is not really great. And what they've done is they are aware that we ourselves contain 1.5% genetic DNA from true humans, which was given to us about 550 million years ago.
So what else are we then? We've been spliced with something. What is that?
We've been spliced with a true human.
But what else are we?
No, the rest of us is here.
Right.
That we share, most of our DNA is the same as everything else on this planet. But we contain 1.5 DNA, which came from the true humans. But over that period of 550 million years, we changed. We started life as
Herbivores,
we were herbivores. But over that 550 million years, we've gradually been changing to what we are today. Today we are actually carnivores, but we can still tolerate a certain amount of plants.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so we've got 1.5% true human DNA. Now, these Fastwalkers, these aliens, they know this because they've actually done experiments on people, and they have ascertained that we contain 1.5% of true human DNA. So they know that something big is happening to the Earth. They know that most people are going to, they don't know about the true humans. They don't know they're here. All they know is that we have 1.5% DNA of something they want. And so what they've done is they have taught us to collect the DNA, and this is their payment for giving us the technology, which has now been used for other things as well, but that's not their problem because they know that within 20 odd years all of that's going to be a moot point.
Mm-hmm.
So their interest is the collection of our DNA for that 1.5% so that they can incorporate it into themselves. Because that 1.5% DNA is gold.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it has its pure pedigree across trillions of years, of light years. You know, humanity didn't arise here. I mean, no, we did, but humanity, what I call the true human humanity, they arose a long, long time ago. We're going back billions upon billions of years. And that DNA has been gradually shared and improved so that fragments, in the same way that fragments of soul coalesce to create something better, so that is replicated in this third dimension. Fragments of DNA has been joining up to create something better and better. What they're creating is a better vehicle for the expression of soul.
Right.
That's all there is at the end of the day, is soul and the third dimension. There's nothing else. There is no devils, there is no bad spirits, there is no wushu wushu out there.
The
all of
evil
that
eye,
is fantasy.
The voodoo.
It's all fantasy.
Yeah.
Well, there is magic. Magic is the creation of a certain aspect of reality.
Mm-hmm.
And most of what we would call magicians, they've been creating magic with emotions. i.e., they've been bringing groups of people together to generate intense emotions, and then they've been using that to create an image of what they want.
Yeah.
So magic is real, but magic is nothing compared to love. The vibration of love, the energy of love, if you were to say gram per gram, 1 kilogram of emotional energy is the equivalent of 1 gram of love. You've got as much power with 1 gram of love as you've got with a kilo or 10 kilograms of fear. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Love is truly so powerful, but it needs a few of us. If we want to change reality at the moment is being created through fear. We have a reality of fear, and what we need is a reality based on love. The reality of fear is based on want, on need, on, I don't have enough of. The reality of love is one of abundance. People say, even now, what's happening right now in the world? There is not enough energy to go around.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, but there is enough energy. It's all underground. Yeah, but there is not enough energy to go around. Keep it simple. Because we're all in a state of fear.
Yeah.
If there was love, and remember, 1 per 10,000. So if there was enough people who were connecting, integrating to the enough level to generate love, the scales would begin to tilt, because the scales of love are filled with abundance. Because love is about giving, not taking. But this is where we are. This is what needs to change.
I thought it was very interesting you were talking about gold that exists with it. For me, I think there's gold in the heart, there's gold in the brain, and then there's gold in the waters that are coming from nature.
Gold. You're saying gold?
Gold frequencies, gold atoms.
Oh right, the frequency.
Yeah,
You're talking about frequency, not monetary gold.
Yeah, no. For me, I think that's why I like getting into the water. I find it's a way of resetting myself, connecting with like earth frequencies, in the same way that meditation's good for that, or having a bath in Epsom salts. These kind of things relax my nervous system. I feel I've got more regulation, and it allows me to then observe things in my life.
Yeah. Actually, that's really good. Not quite as good as stopping the coffee, but you know.
One day. Yeah. Work in progress.
Because you know, the word you said was allows me to relax.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, the coffee doesn't relax you.
Mm. But I find it's the
It
thoughts that I
overreps you.
have and the things going on around me and the thing. I mean, I don't consume that much media, so I'm not getting too much of it. It's you can't escape it because it is there. But I do these things to counteract that more than anything, I would say. You're saying it's partly because I'm a junkie high on.
Okay,
on,
well, I tell you what. I recently wrote an article, and Charlie gave me some new information onto how to help people to integrate.
Mm.
So, and I when I wrote it, I said that I would do a little video of that, sort of, to help people do. So why don't we finish by me sharing this, and I may then put this as a separate thing as well.
Yeah.
This is not so much a meditation. You could call it a meditation.
A journey.
It's not even a journey.
A heart visualization.
No, nothing fancy. Keep it simple. No,
A story.
It's a set of instructions.
Fair enough.
I'm just going to share with you a little something, which, because what's come really to the fore in our discussions is the need for integration of the human being. Yeah. Well, how do we start that process when we are ready?
Yeah.
Because just because you're ready doesn't mean you're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need you need a handle for integration. Okay, so this is going to be the handle, and it's very simple. So you uncross your legs and you uncross your hands, and what I want you to do is, so don't look at me, just stay relaxed, don't close your eyes either, just keep your eyes open.
I can take these off now sometime.
Okay, yeah. So what I want you to do is, I want you to focus on your feet and notice the soles of your feet on the ground, the pressure of the socks on your toes. Really get a sense of your feet, how they are here in your body. Yeah. Connect with your little toes, second toe, middle toe, fourth toe, big toe. You know, some of them are harder than others to connect with, but get the overall sensation of them all.
The feeling of me.
Feeling of your toes within you. So connect with your toes. Now I want you to do the same with your hands. So connect with your hands. Be aware of your thumb, your forefinger, your middle finger, ring finger, little finger, the palm, the back of your hand, the way it's resting on your legs.
I always get a tingling. Is that my brain making it up? What's happening there? Is that real?
Well, no, tingling. I'm giving you this ones because this is where we have the most nerve endings. So yes, tingling is normal, and you know this is how you should be aware of all the time. You should be connected, but we're not. So this is how we start the process. So you connect with your hands. You really feel them, sense the temperature, the dampness, the dryness, whatever sensations. Listen to your nerves giving you feedback as to your hands. Now I want you to do the same with your heart. So go to your heart and be aware of the sensations in the chest of your heart area. Nothing fancy, just physical sensations, sensations within your heart. Now I'd like you to go and do the same with your tongue. Go into your tongue, your mouth, and be aware of your tongue resting on your mouth. Is it resting on the roof of the mouth? That's a good place to be honest, resting on the roof of the mouth. But be aware of the sensations, the physical sensations of the tongue. And notice saliva. Be aware how there's going to be times when you relax, as you relax, when suddenly you'll get a bit more saliva coming into your mouth. That is always a good signal that you're actually relaxing. So now go down to your lower belly, beneath the belly button, and notice the sensations in your lower abdomen, the physical sensations of your intestines. So now we're going to bring all that together. So go into your heart, and your heart is going to be the center of the wheel from which the spokes radiate. So from the heart, go up to your tongue, go down to your lower abdomen, go out to your hands, go down to your feet. And keep making your heart area the center. So the other sensations are periphery, your heart is the center. And from this center now, I want you to imagine, kinesthetically sense a bubble of energy, not just in front of you, but to the back of you. It surrounds the whole of your chest area. And soften it. Soften that bubble of energy. And notice your lips going a little bit smiley, your eyes a little bit twinkly. And this is a hallmark. When you're softening into your heart, your lips will soften, your eyes will soften. Stay in touch with your feet and your hands, your mouth and your lower abdomen. But now you have a center. Your center is this soft place within your heart. And let that energy from your heart begin to spread to the rest of your body. Stay connected to your hands and your feet and your mouth, your tongue and your lower abdomen. But allow that, like water, pouring out from you, from your heart, and it begins to fill up your body with this softness. And as you do that, you will notice that there's tension somewhere in you. So just bring that softness of your heart to the various places where there's tension. Relax, say to yourself the word relax. But keep coming back to the softness, the connection with your hands, the connection with your feet. And if you hadn't noticed before, you will notice that your mind goes quiet. I'll probably get activated now that I've mentioned it. But when we are in our heart, the mind goes quiet. We stop telling ourselves stories, which are purely automatic. It's just a machine chitty-chatting. Focus on the heart, focus on the softness, focus on the feet, focus on the hands, the tongue, the lower abdomen. Now from the heart, connect with your lower abdomen. Let your softness spread deep within your lower abdomen, because this is the major place where we suppress our emotions. Let your softness fill the lower abdomen. And stay here for as long as you're comfortable. If you want to make this into a meditation, keep working through the tensions in your body as they arise. Keep softening, connecting with your body, connecting with your hands and feet, acknowledging the various tensions, keep softening, softening, letting go, letting go. There's always more you can let go. What you're letting go is the tensions from your organism, from your ego, the way that your mind keeps a grip on your emotions in your body. So this is a wonderful thing to do on a regular basis, to distress yourself. We're all subject to stress at some time or other, and this is a great way of stopping the bath from filling up with tension. Keep emptying it with your heart. So you stay there for as long as you like, but this is something to then try in your daily life. As you move around the world, whether you're walking or speaking with other people, watching a film, connect with your feet, connect with your hands, connect with your heart, connect with your lower abdomen, connect with your tongue. Practice makes perfect. The more you practice, the more there'll be a part of your psyche that will make this priority. The more you prioritize it, the more you will be integrating your body. The more you integrating your body, the more your heart will come to the fore, the more your soul will start to take charge.
No, it's so blissful. I guess, then you go back into the mind and you've lost it. And the trick is just to try and remain in this place. I learned that when I was doing Shinto walking meditations, and very similar, like feeling like the ball of your foot engaging, and also that book, The Power of Now. What's his name? Eckhart Tolle. It really talks about feeling every element of your body and the blood moving, all the vessels up and down, feeling that energetic body. It's so beautiful. It costs nothing, and yet we just neglect that world, that domain. Oh, thank you for that.
Because we're divorced from our bodies.
Yeah.
So this is simply a way of, without making it too complicated, coming back to live inside our bodies.
Yeah.
Rather than be up here, because when we're up here, we're in criticism, we're critical. There's no escaping it. You're in here, you're always telling someone off. And usually you're telling yourself off. So this is a way of escaping from that limiting prison, really. It's a prison.
Yeah.
It's a prison. Just to finish, I hope you've enjoyed this. My apologies for the, the amateurish way in which I do these videos, but I'm learning.
I think the content's the most important thing though, isn't it? And this is authentic, this is real.
My website, salmarch.co.uk, loads of information there. I keep adding to it, loads on health, diet, nutrition, and a lot more. You'll have to go and look for it and find it. Bye for now, all the best.